Hey guys, welcome to our third Algebra Boot Camp. We are going to be doing basically what we did yesterday, which is evaluating functions, except we're going to evaluate piecewise functions. A piecewise function is one that's broken up into different pieces. There will never be any overlap. Which function you evaluate, either like the top or bottom one in this case, depends on what your input is, your independent variable x. So for all x's that are -1 or less than -1, you'll be plugging it into this function here. For all x values that are greater than -1 and not including it, you're going to plug it into here. So let's do a couple examples. Let's say we're asked to find g of -3. All right, -3 fits in here because it's less than or equal to -1. Therefore, we're going to plug in -3 to this top function. Just like we know how. When we evaluate, we'll get -2 times -3, which will give us 6, minus 2, which is 4. Okay, next one we can try. G of -1. All right, this can be really the only tricky one because -1 is like where the breakdown occurs here. So we have to go to the function that includes -1, which is this top one here because it's less than or equal to -1. So once again, we're going to plug into our top function. So we'll have -2 times -1 minus 2, which will give us 2 minus 2, which is 0. Let's do one more. Let's say we want to evaluate g of, that's a bad color. Let's do g of 4. All right, if we plug in 4, where do we plug that in? Well, 4 fits in here. It's greater than -1. Therefore, we're going to plug 4 into this function here. So we'll have -2 plus the square root of 4, which is -2 plus 2, which once again will give us an output of 0. All right, one more example. Or just the next example rather. This is one that I picked because it has a couple more different functions in it. If you feel like you can skip through and you are understanding this, that's totally fine. But I just wanted to give another example of one that looks a little bit different. So 2 is now like our breaking point, right? Whether or not we're less than or equal to it, we go here. If we're greater than 2, we go here. So let's evaluate g of -7. All right, where does -7 fit in? It is less than or equal to 2, so we're going to go to our top function. It'll be the absolute value of -7 plus 4, which is the absolute value of -3. And of course, absolute value, it's always the positive of what's inside it, so it's +3 for our final answer. What about if we plug in, let's say, 6? G of 6. Well, where does 6 fit in? 6 is greater than 2, so we're going to plug it into this function here. So we'll have 6 minus 2 quantity squared. And then order of operations tells us to use our parentheses first, so it's 4 squared. So our solution is 16. Okay, this is my last example. I picked this one because, again, it looks a little different and we have 3 pieces now, but it's the exact same idea. All right, so first let's say we're asked to find h of 2. Okay, where does 2 fit in? Well, it's not less than or equal to -3. However, it is in between -3 and 2, including 2. So because we're including 2 and this middle piece, we're going to use the function x squared minus 3. So we'll have 2 squared minus 3 which will give us a solution of 1, an output of 1. All right, next, let's say we want to find h of -5. Okay, where does -5 fit in? It fits in up here because -5 is less than or equal to -3. So we go to this function, which just says, hey, no matter what you input, boop, output a -1. So we don't have to do any work there. Any value that we plugged in that was -3 or less, we would output a -1. Same idea if we were asked to evaluate h of 8. Well, 8 falls in here because it's greater than 2, and so our output is just 1. Awesome. It's a pretty easy topic today. Not too bad. I know that both of the classes that I'm speaking with right now have already done this before, so I didn't want to make this video super long. The next slide is your assignment. Here is your daily assignment. It's only 6 problems. It shouldn't take you very long. And please upload to the Dropbox on Blackboard.